When I learned this, it like absolutely changed my mind. Oh, your nose is so ugly. In my head, it's like, my nose is not ugly. I was still placing my value on external things. Things that could change. Things that could leave me. Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Anastasia if you're new here, which you probably are because this is a new YouTube channel. Today I woke up and I felt the need to talk about self-worth. I've been reflecting a lot these past few days. I've been journaling. Let me show you my journal. Yeah, and actually looking through my old journals as well, and just reflecting about how past experiences have shaped me, and I felt like I wanted to talk about it today. And so that's exactly what we're gonna do. I'm gonna get ready, do my makeup, and then we can have a little chat. If you want to join me and get ready, grab your makeup and let's get ready together. I grew up in an Asian household and I'm the oldest of 3 sisters. And to add on to that, I also studied in an elitist primary and secondary school here in Singapore. As a young girl, I was very moldable to the expectations that other people put on me, obviously, because I was just a kid. In my particular instance, it was extremely detrimental to my self-worth because I based my worth on academic success. Literally everybody there was smart. So if you were surrounded by people who were doing really well at school and you yourself weren't doing very well at school, obviously that would make you feel like you were not as good as everybody else. I eventually moved out of that school. It was honestly a lot better for my mental health, and then my academics took off. And I remember feeling so valued, and it was like all of a sudden people could see my worth. Once I graduated from that school, I began my self-development journey, and I realized it was so unsustainable to tie my worth, something that is innate, to external validation in any form. And if there's one thing that you take away from this video, your worth is innate. Your worthiness does not come from anything external. It does not come from your appearance. It doesn't come from your academics. It doesn't come from your achievements. Honestly, it sounds very obvious, right? And you hear this advice everywhere. But if you really stop and think about how this applies in your life, you'll actually realize that, oh my gosh, my neighbor is a Singapore Airlines flight attendant and I just saw her leave the house. That's so cool. Okay, anyways, one of my dream jobs was a flight attendant, but the problem is like I am deadly afraid of turbulence, so that could definitely not be my career. Anyways, say this because I thought that after I had worked through linking my self-worth to academic validation, I thought I've worked through my self-worth issues and now my worth is entirely innate. But as I worked through it more and as I journaled more, I realized that actually I was tying my worth to a lot more things. Subconsciously, I had tied my worth also to my appearance. And being on social media when I was like 12, it honestly altered my brain chemistry and it made me compare myself so badly to influencers and celebrities, and I'm sure that that's a very common phenomenon. I could have easily stopped working on my self-concept and self-worth the moment that I started getting good grades or the moment that I started to feel pretty again. But that just felt like it was never actually deep enough because I was still placing my value on external things. Things that could change, things that could leave me. The thing is, you might actually achieve those things, the validation from other people. But what happens is that you need to continuously then chase that in order to feel like worthy again. When I learned this, it like absolutely changed my mind. You are the only person that knows yourself entirely and knows yourself fully. Nobody around you actually knows you through your perspective and through all your life experiences, because nobody has lived the life that you live, and therefore no one actually has a accurate opinion of you. Everyone's opinions of you are based on their own life experiences. Like that, when I was younger, I attributed my worth to how somebody else saw me. Like, it makes no sense. I also want to say that don't blame yourself for seeking external validation. It's so natural because it's basically how people have conditioned us to think, right? People literally place their expectations on you when you're young, and they place their limiting beliefs on you. Like, for example, your parents, your teachers, late relatives, they all place their expectations on you from a very young age. And at that age, you don't really have the discernment that you do now. It's quite natural that you would just adopt other people's beliefs of you and just take it as that. It's natural, it's okay, but we need to get out of it. You need to build your self-concept. And you need to build it so strongly that nobody can tell you who you are and nobody can tell you what you're worth. If you approach building your self-concept with a foundation of knowing that you are already worthy, your flaws and all, we are essentially saying that we accept ourselves. By saying that our flaws and all don't make us less worthy, we can approach our flaws with a lot more love and a lot more acceptance. Acceptance means that you acknowledge and you understand why parts of yourself are like that. We aren't bad people, okay? We are just molded by our past, and we have to work through a lot of trauma and we have to heal. Build your self-concept with grace, and I promise you, it will make the biggest difference. Don't let anybody tell you who you are. I believe it's called the purple shirt theory. If you're wearing a white shirt and you go outside and then people are telling you, oh my gosh, you're wearing a purple shirt, but you know you're wearing a white shirt, do you get swayed by what they're telling you? No, because you're already certain that you're wearing a white shirt. And it's the same way with your identity, it's the same way with your esteem and your self-concept. If you're so certain about who you are, nobody's opinions can affect you and nobody's opinions can make you feel any differently about yourself. When you accept the negative things about yourself, maybe an insecurity that you have. So for example, in my case, I would say that an insecurity of mine was that I have a big nose. When I was younger, that used to be a really big insecurity because I was always comparing myself to models and celebrities who had tiny noses with the really defined nose bridge, which I don't really have. And I used to be so insecure of that. And the moment that I worked through it and I started to approach my features and the things that I was blessed with acceptance and just love, nobody could use that insecurity against me. And this is just an example, right? It's not to say that somebody actually did, but if somebody then said, oh, your nose is so ugly, in my head it's my nose is not ugly. I already validate myself. I don't need you to validate me. And even if you can't say confidently that you love these things yet, because loving parts of yourself that you find to be negative or less than ideal is really difficult. So I'm not saying you have to love them immediately. Don't be upset with yourself for not loving every single thing about yourself. But acceptance is good enough. Because then, let's take the same example, okay? Somebody comes to you and makes fun of you for your nose. You already accept it. It's not an open wound for you. It's not something that you need validation for anymore, because you're I can validate and accept this part of myself. Then, girl, you're unshakable, okay? You know that your worth does not come from external things, your appearance, and anything else that the world tries to convince you that your worth is based on. And the last mindset shift, nobody is on a pedestal. You are not better than other people are not better than you. Take whoever's opinions that you're putting on a pedestal off and put your opinions on that pedestal instead, right? It's not good to think that oh my god, I am better than everybody else. I'm not trying to promote them, but I'm saying you are the only one that can form a accurate opinion about yourself, because like I mentioned earlier, you are the only one that knows yourself in and out, and you need to trust your self-concept more than anybody else's opinion of you. I just feel so much freer, not having to go out and worry about, oh my gosh, what does this person think about me? Practice makes perfect, and it also applies to self-development, because you cannot gain confidence without actually putting yourself through those experiences. So you have to practice disregarding other people's opinions and limiting beliefs. You have to practice reassuring and reaffirming yourself when other people try to bring you down. That is the hardest part, practicing it. But then after you do it enough times and give it time, it'll become natural and it becomes second nature. And the great thing is that the more that you show up for yourself and the more that you continue to affirm yourself despite other people's opinions, the more confident you get with yourself and the more you start to fall in love with yourself. I think I've covered all the bases of what I wanted to talk about today. Honestly, I was just thinking as I was going, so I had to pause this video many times. And I hope that this video found you if you needed to hear any of the things I said today. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!